Good morning. Welcome back. Missed you guys this week. We're right back into the swing of things. Hope everyone's doing well and enjoying the beautiful summer. I know I am. And we're going to start off first waiting to welcome everyone on. And please say where you're watching from, where you're joining from, how you're doing this morning. All right. Good morning, Helga. Boker Tov. Hello, Evelyn. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Wonderful. Good morning, Evelyn. Good to see you. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a nice Shabbat. Boker Tov, everyone. Okay. We're waiting to see everyone getting on this morning. I know we didn't have it last week, so it was a little bit the throw off. Oh, good morning, Esther and Helga. Great. Good to see you. Hi, Arlene. Good morning. Wonderful to see you. Hope everyone's well, Arlene. Okay. We're going to begin by giving tzedakah. Gedel tzedakah shemikareves es hageulah. Put a coin into your charity box. We're going to say Tehillim today for people who need a refuah shlema. Hey, good morning, Michelle. How are you? Mazal tov. Hello. Good morning, Nikki. Hope everything went well yesterday. Okay, here we go. Say Tehillim for Yaakov Moshe Benecha Yehudis Bas Sarah Tzipora Hadassah Tzipora Hinda Bas Rachel Miriam Sarah Bas Chana Meyasha Badana Bas Sarah Mindel Chana Devorah Golda Bas Goldis Basia Menucha Bas Emmanuel Yisrael Ben Sarah Mindel Sarah then Esther Golden Nachama Dina Bas Esther Hadassah Henya Tzipora Bas Chayochevet Tuvi Moshe Ben Peril. Okay, Yesi Devorah Bas Razel, Rachel Bas Fega, Liran Brocha Bas Shendeleya, Ruth Bas Susan, Leah Bas Chapitza, Rivka Bas Chapitza, Dalia Bas Yehudis, Henya Tova Bas Tema Basia, Moshe Ben Miriam, Leah Bas Etel, Nomi Sarah Bas Zipporah, Sarah Bas Penina, Yitzchak Mendel Ben Bracha, and Malka Bas Rezaleah, Yeshua Ben Leah. Okay, we should do our learning today. Hey, good morning, Elise. We should do our learning today, Shprinza Basara, in memory of those who have recently departed, in schus of those who need a refuah shlema, emotional, physical, and anyone that you know that needs blessings for children or blessings of success. May our Torah learning today be in their merit. I'll say chapter 20. Say it with me, but now you should know by heart. Lamanatzeach mizmor leDavid yancha Adonai b'yom tzara yisagefcha Shem Elahei Yaakov yishlach ezrecha mikodesh u'mitzion yisadeka yischar kol mechasecha v'los yidash nesela yiten lecha chavavecha v'chol atzascha yimale nirana b'shuasecha v'Shem Eloheinu nitgol yimalei Adonai kol mashavasecha ati atati ki yashi Adonai mishicho yanei mishmei kodsha b'gevuras yesha yamino. Ela v'recha ve'ela v'susa v'nachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir. Hema korban afol v'nachnu kamnu b'nisodad. Adonai Hoshea Hamelech Yanenu b'yom kareinu. Good morning, Rosalie. Good to see you. Good morning, Elise. Good morning, Lynn. Okay. So today's topic was, what did you do last Saturday, last Shabbat? And I know that Evelyn, who's on today, was in shul with me last Shabbat. We had a big, beautiful lunch. Beautiful lunch. We had a guest speaker. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Angie. We spoke in honor of a very, very special day. Anybody know what this past Shabbat, this past Saturday was? Anybody know what was special, significant on the Hebrew calendar? All right, if you know, just put it down there. It was a very, very, very big Shabbos, and I'll give you a hint. Hundreds of thousands turned out in the last 3 days. There were hundreds of thousands that walked through the Ohel, and many of you said it here, was the Rebbe's Yortzeit. Menachem Mendel, and of course Nikki has a very strong affinity to Menachem Mendel. Her son Alex took the name Menachem Mendel. It was the Yortzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Thank you. So why is that so significant to me and you? Okay, a lot of great rabbis die. Hundreds of thousands don't come to a caver. You have Rabbi Akiva's caver, Rabbi Shimon Yochai's caver, you have our avos, our imohot, right? Our matriarchs, our patriarchs. But a contemporary rabbi, contemporary Rebbe, to have hundreds of thousands come to his caver, like, why? Well, why so many? And it wasn't like he's Avram Avinu to the lay person. He was a Rebbe from modern day, right? So why is it that there's such a focus on the Rebbe's Yortzeit? So I'll share with you some of the things that we spoke about at our shul lunch, our gala lunch. And number one, to make it personal, the reason why I am a Rebbitzin, a shlucha today, the reason why I left my home in Brooklyn to become a shlucha here in Markham, Toronto, the fact that I didn't go into a career that I know I would have been very good at, real estate or development or finance, possibly a lawyer, I would have been amazing at that. And I'm not boasting. I'm just, everyone has to know what their success, what their ma'alot are, right? What their abilities are. It's not a mitzvah to be humble and say, I'm not good at anything. We all know what gifts God gave us. We know what we're good in, and we have to do something with those qualities. I know I could have done that well, and I could have been a very, very, very rich woman. I know that. But I chose, at 16 years old, very clear decision that when I get married, I'm only marrying someone who wants to go on shluchas. Why? Why would I do that? Because I, as Nikki said, I was inspired by the Rebbe. That's it. There was a leader of the Jewish generation of the world who lived in Brooklyn, where I lived. I spent every single Shabbat in his presence at a farbrengen, at a gathering, and listening to his talks about loving another Jew and doing everything in your ability to help another Jew, whether it means financial, emotional, spiritual, intellectual. That's our mission this generation. I was ready to do that. And when it was time for me to date, and I said to my father, don't even think I want to date a boy or a man that was not ready to share my dream and my vision of going on shluchas. So what was it about the Rebbe that caught my attention? What was it the Rebbe that really turned me on to wanting to devote my life to Jews? And the answer is simply, if you want to put something down in the chat, feel free to do so. The reason why I gave my life to Jews is because I watched the Rebbe give his life to Jews. And I loved that. And that inspired and emboldened me to want to follow that path as well. So about 25 years ago, we had a guest here at our show, came to speak for our community. His name was Professor Hasofer. Professor Hasofer, I shared the story already on our Friday Erev Shabbat Zoom. Professor Hasofer was a secular Israeli. His name was Michael, who was married to a wonderful woman by the name of Tara, very secular Israelis. They wanted to start a life after they were married away from Judaism. Israel was way too Jewish for them. And so they moved to a small island off the coast of Australia called Hobart, Tasmania. And this island was a perfect place if you want to run away from Judaism, that's where you ran. He arrives with his wife. They were self-proclaimed atheists. He arrives with his wife to Tasmania, and they are welcomed by a Jew there who says, "You're Jewish. We have a small community here of Jews, but we need a rabbi." And Michael, as he says, started to laugh hysterically. He says, "Are you funny? I don't believe in God. Got the wrong guy." And they said, "But you read Hebrew." He says, "I do." They said, "Well, you're going to come and be a rabbi because you're the only one that speaks Hebrew. You'll be able to read the Torah." And so Michael eventually becomes the rabbi, and he goes to this Jewish community center every day where he reads the Torah, but is not invested in this Judaism at all. He just does what the community needs. But after a while, when you hang out, if you hang out in someone's kitchen where they're cooking garlic, you end up walking out and you smell of garlic, right? He hung out with his wife and his children in this community center with enough Jews, long enough that his wife became inspired. And so they started lighting Shabbat candles, started maybe a little bit of traditions. He's still not bought in, but the wife is getting inspired. And one morning he comes home, and the two of them, as you know, were quite qualified and successful PhD doctors. He finds his wife crying in the kitchen. And she says to her husband, "I know that if a Jew has a problem, what do the Jews do? They go to the Moshe. I'm reading the Chumash. It says in the Chumash, the Jews have a problem, they went to Moshe." And she's crying in her kitchen. She says, "Eifo Moshe? Where is my leader?" She's a very sincere woman. She's a very, very sincere woman. And her husband is lost. He doesn't know who to speak to. He's the rabbi in Tasmania. I mean, who's he going to go to? So, being a distraught husband, he runs to the community center to try to get some enlightenment, direction, hope. And as he walks towards the community center, he sees a fellow standing there who looks rather Jewish. Black hat, a beard, he sees tzitzit. So he walks over to the fellow and he puts out his hand, "Shalom Aleichem. My name is Michael Sofer. What's your name?" "My name is Rabbi Chaim Gutnick. I am a shliach in Australia. I came to see the Jews." "Hey, good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Marcel." He says, "You're here to see the Jews? There's a woman that needs you badly. Come with me to my house." And so Rabbi Chaim Gutnick finds himself at Tara Sofer's kitchen. And he says, "What can I do for you?" She goes, "I want to know more about Judaism. I need to know more about God. I am here in Hobart. I don't have anyone to call out to. I cried out to Moshe. But what am I supposed to do? Who can I speak to? Who can I learn from?" And Rabbi Chaim Gutnick says, "I am here today because I got a telegram. And the telegram said, this is a telegram from the Habitachon Rebbe." And the Rebbe writes to him like this: "You are doing a great job in Melbourne, Australia. But what are you doing about the outlying islands of Australia, like Tasmania?" And I took that cue. I booked a ticket on a flight, and I landed now here without a name, without any information. The Rebbe told me to come to Tasmania. Tell me, what can I do for you?" And there is a Tara in her kitchen, opens up her heart, her neshama, her pintele yid, to Rabbi Gutnick with all the questions about God, about tradition, about life, about souls, about mitzvot. And Rabbi Chaim sits there for hours answering. Eventually, of course, he has to go back home, but he gives her the phone number and they start exchanging. He sends her books, he sends her interesting insights in the Torah, in the Parsha, on God, the purpose of a Jew, why we're here. And by now, Tara and her family are growing in their Judaism. And Rabbi Gutnick says, it's time for you to come back to your people. And she moves into Melbourne, Australia. raises her family there. Today, the family are pillars of the Chabad international worldwide community. Why was Rabbi Gutnick landing in Hobart, Tasmania that morning? Why? Why? That's the answer to why I am here on Shlichus today in Toronto, in Markham. Because there's a leader in Brooklyn 25 years ago that told Rabbi Gutnick, go find out what's going on in Hobart, Tasmania. Because there's a leader that cares about you. That cares about you. About Nikki, about Marcel, about Sandra, about Shayna and Michelle and Barbara and Rachel, about Nikki and Terry, about Lynn, about every one of you. This is why Rabbi Gutnick made a trip to Hobart. Because the Rebbe was a Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Does anybody know what that means? Give me a thumbs up if you ever heard that before. What is a Rosh B'nai Yisrael? Anybody know that? Ever heard that expression? Because a Rebbe is not just a Talmid Chacham. The Rebbe is not just a tzaddik. The Rebbe is not a Gaon. The Rebbe is not any of these things exclusively. The Rebbe is a Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Now think about something. If you have, hi, good morning, Karen. If you have any ache or pain in your body, are you feeling good for the rest of the day? Are you able to focus? I mean, let's say it's just a pinky. Maybe it's just a heart. Maybe it's just your kidney. Maybe it's your shoulder. Maybe it's a pain in your stomach. Why can't you get on with your day? Why? Because when your head, which controls the body, feels that pain, the head is not okay and the rest of the body is not okay. You know, sometimes you're about to go to a wedding and you say to your husband, oh, I have something. And he's like, big deal, it's a little stomachache. What's the big deal? But your whole self cannot enjoy a wedding because your little stomach is in pain, so your whole body is experiencing the pain. That's what a Rosh B'nai Yisrael is. The Rebbe feels your pain. The Rebbe felt Atara and Michal HaSofer's pain. So I'm going to share with you 3 lessons from the Rebbe that you and I can learn and emulate. Because I feel like the Rebbe left us physically 28 years ago, but he didn't leave us spiritually. Because as we know, a parent never leaves his children. And so the Rebbe is still here with us very, very significantly in a spiritual way. And that's why people wrote to the Rebbe on Friday, yesterday, on Sunday, because the Rebbe was our father. The Rebbe didn't have children. And so he left us to carry on the baton, right? So a Rosh B'nai Yisrael teaches us, and I figured the Rebbe has many things you could learn from the Rebbe. I want to discuss 3 ways you and I can keep the Rebbe's legacy going. Number 1 is Ahavat Yisrael. Number 2 is positivity and faith. And number 3 is his kashrut. Number 1, Ahavat Yisrael. So there is a fellow that was sitting at a bar mitzvah next to Rabbi Taub. And he turns to Rabbi Taub and he says to him, hey, you look like a Lubavitcher. So Rabbi Taub says, yep, I am. I am a chassid of the Rebbe. So I need to share with you a story. He says, I go to Jamaica every year on business. And when I'm there, after I do my business, I like to search out the Jewish community. And over the years, every time I would come back, I would send a letter to the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I would tell him about the news in Jamaica, how many Jews are there, if it's growing, if it's declining, what's been built. He goes, I'm not Lubavitch, but I always wrote to the Rebbe. So Rebbe Tab looks at him with a very, very weird, strange look, and he says to him, if you're not Lubavitch, why did you write to the Lubavitcher Rebbe about your trip to Jamaica? What the heck? So he says, well, who else cares about the Jews in Jamaica? I'm very emotional now. I've said this story twice, and I'm very emotional now because every one of you, and I'm looking now at the women that are watching, every one of you at one point wrote a letter to the Rebbe. Why? Why did you write a letter to the Rebbe? You're not Lubavitch Chassid. Why did you write to the Rebbe? I want you to put it down now in the chat. Why did you write to the Rebbe? Whether it was you need a bracha for a parent, a child, a grandchild. Kim went to the Rebbe. Why? What drew you to the Rebbe? You didn't grow up as a Chabad family. Your parents aren't Chabad. Why did you? I'm curious. Why did you write to the Rebbe? I'm going to give it a few minutes because I want to know. I know why I write to the Rebbe. I was raised by the Rebbe. I went to the Rebbe's Yechidus as a child. I stood in line hundreds and hundreds of times. I know why I wrote to the Rebbe. Why did you write to the Rebbe? And why do you still write to the Rebbe? If you've never met the Rebbe, I don't think anyone that's watching right now ever met the Rebbe. Why are you writing to the Rebbe? Please enlighten me and enlighten all of us that are watching. Arlene says, I wrote on your behalf because you were scared of your eye surgery. Yeah. Why did you care that I wrote to the Rebbe? Why did it mean anything to you? Please enlighten me why. Nicole says, she a blessing for learning of Tanya. Alex taught me to start feeling close to Rebbe. I feel so inspired. Beautiful. Okay. Who else feels inspired and feels a connection to the Rebbe? As we said, the Rebbe is a Rosh B'nai Yisrael. What enlightened you? So I could tell you, it's because the Rebbe's Avos Yisrael is connected to your neshama. You are part of the Rebbe. We say a Rebbe is a Rosh, so the Rebbe is the head of the Jewish entity. Me and you are parts of the body. The Rebbe is the head. And so you feel connected. Your neshama feels connected to the Rebbe. Every generation is a tzaddik. And every generation, the tzaddik is responsible for his people. You feel that. Even if you never met the Rebbe, you feel that. And that is what makes you pick up a pen and paper, or makes you pick up your phone and go to the OHEL website, because you feel connected to the Rosh. So number one, the Rebbe is Avos Yisrael because the Rebbe loves every Jew. He loves every Jew. I witnessed it standing online by the Rebbe. There were Black people from the community. There were politicians. There were beggars from Eastern Parkway. There were politicians and doctors and philanthropists and photographers and lawyers and Bachrim, teenagers. Everyone found solace in front of the Rebbe. Barb says she wrote for prayers for her son, a very difficult time. She found relief afterwards. So the Rebbe is the address for our direct connection to God. He allows us to connect. He allows us to be vulnerable, and he allows us to share with his Ahavas Yisrael. You know, George Rohr, a very famous and wonderful philanthropist, once started a minyan in Manhattan. And after Rosh Hashanah, he came to the Rebbe for dollars. And he said to the Rebbe, I want the Rebbe to know that I started a minyan for Jews without any background. And I had a very nice crowd. So the Rebbe said, huh? So thinking that the Rebbe didn't hear, he said it again. I want to inform the Rebbe, da, 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 da. So the Rebbe said, huh? As if he didn't hear him. He said it louder. And this time the Rebbe said to him, I heard you, but I'm surprised that you're using the word Jews with no background. What do you mean Jews with no background? Every Jew has a background. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, that's their background. Go back and tell those Jews, They are Jews with a background. How many great leaders do you know talk like that? There are a lot of Jewish leaders and rabbis today. They're not rebbes, but they're leaders. And they will talk about how we have to bring back the Jews that are assimilated, that have no background. Listen to how the Rebbe talks about every Jew. The Rebbe and us are one. And we all have a background. That to me exemplifies the idea that each one of us has a chelik elokam imal mamash. And that just like the Nazis hunted down the Jews with hate, the Rebbe hunted down Jews with love. And literally, Jews who tried to run to Hobart or to Bahamas or to New Zealand or to small hick towns in Hawaii, the Rebbe sent a shliach. He hunted you down. And he revived your neshama. He revived your neshama, that little chelik elokam imal mamish. Anybody know what that means? Let me know. He reignited. He sent his shluchim. And we know a beautiful expression. If you've ever heard this, let me know. Shliach shel adam kimoso. That the shliach of a person is like the person himself. So I have a piece of the Rebbe. And each one of you that becomes an emissary of the Rebbe, you become the Rebbe. What does it mean to be an emissary of the Rebbe? I'm going to share with you one of my favorite stories I heard as a teenager. It still inspires me till today. Rabbi Feller, a shliach in St. Paul, Minnesota, shares the story how one day he was asked to go to a hospital to visit someone there. And as he walks down the hallway to this patient's room, the patient sees him and he goes, "Wow, the Lubavitcher Rebbe is here." So Rabbi Feller is laughing, he goes, "Wow, this guy's so sick, he thinks I'm Lubavitcher Rebbe." But as he gets into the patient's room, the patient goes, "Oh, the Lubavitcher Rebbe is here." And Rabbi Feller says, No, I'm not the Lubavitcher Rebbe." He goes, "Yes, you are." He goes, "No, I'm not. I'm really not." He goes, "You are." Rabbi Feller goes, "I'm not going to disagree with this ill man." And he played along. But on his way out, he thought to himself, that man is right. I am a shliach of the Rebbe, which makes me literally the Rebbe. And he told us this story as teenagers, and he says, wherever you go, you are the Rebbe. You inspire others like the Rebbe, which is a huge responsibility, by the way. That means wherever we go, guys, we have to reach out with Ahavas Yisrael. We have to reach out with Ahavas Yisrael and allow others to realize that we have their best intention, because that's how the Rebbe was. We love every Jew. We will do anything for any Jew. Our responsibility is to Jews. And the Rebbe said something which I want to share with all of you. If you know Aleph, you must teach Aleph. Don't say you're not a Lubavitcher Shlucha. If you know a story, you share the story. That's Ahavas Yisrael. What's the second one? Positivity bias. The Rebbe had so much belief and so much positivity. We have to learn that from the Rebbe. Even in our darkest moments, I want you all to close your eyes and think, how would the Rebbe talk to me right now? That's a very, very crucial point. And the last point is what I say is his kashrus. The word kesher is a knot. If you take two strings and you tie them together, they become one. No matter what color the strings are, no matter the quality of the strings, once they're tied in a knot, they become one. We can become mikushar, connected to the Rebbe, by learning the Rebbe's work, by studying the Rebbe's Torah. Do you know that the Rebbe has more books published that he wrote himself than any other teacher other than Moshe Rabbeinu? over 250 pieces of Torah work, of volumes that the Rebbe has written. Open one up, buy it. Whether it's works on the Tanya, whether it's works on Shaar Habitachon, whether it's Likutei Sichos or Maimarim or letters from the Rebbe. Go online and buy books from the Rebbe and immerse yourself in the Rebbe's teachings so that you become connected and inspired and you end up walking like a Rebbe. You end up feeling like a Rebbe. Now, I must end off with one very interesting thing. The day after Gimel Tammuz, the Reform and Conservative and many of the naysayers were out in the public saying, ha! Now the Rebbe is dead. The Lubavitch Rebbe is dead. There goes the movement. The Shluchim will all be returning from around the world. Their leader is gone. Let me ask you, my friends, for all of you that have traveled around the world, has that indeed happened? Has Lubavitch died? Or has there been an increase of over 2,000 Shluchim since Gimel Tammuz 28 years ago? And I'll tell you the secret to why Lubavitch is a success. Because the question that everyone said was, Lubavitch is going to die. There's no successor. What is the answer to that? The Rebbe didn't leave a successor. He didn't leave one. He left millions. You of his successor. And that's what I did this Gimel Tammuz. We had a pre-Shabbat Zoom on Gimel Tammuz. We had a beautiful dinner with dishes and glasses and all, with a guest speaker that came in from Chabad Gate. People from the community shared. It was a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos afternoon. At 4 o'clock, I walked to Chabad Gate where I spoke to over 150 women and where I shared and we inspired each other on Gimel Tammuz about the Rebbe. That was my Gimel Tammuz. My friends, I am ignited. I am inspired. I am devoted to the Rebbe's mission to bring Mashiach so that very soon all of us will realize that this world of materialism, of money, of gashmius is stupidness, and that the real reason why God created the world was so that we can do good and bring Mashiach. Now, wishing you a beautiful, glorious day. And wishing you also a mazel tov. I have my new grandson's bris this Thursday, Miss Hashem. So we are back to New York to celebrate. Actually, it's the 4th generation Plotkin grandson. My father-in-law, my husband, my son Levi, and now the first Plotkin grandson. A lot of simchas in our lives. Wishing you all a beautiful week of love, life, simchas, good health, emotional health, tranquility, positivity, and look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Mandy. Great seeing you at the wedding. Hi, Sandra. Thank you so much. Thank you, Denise. Only b'sirah tavot. Thank you, all of you. Take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.